But we do want to mention really quick about the Frost DK new talent, which is the Hyperpyrexia, since it was something that it's related to what people have been addressing regarding the rework with Breath of Sindragosa, whether or not that's going to be still be viable. I don't think this answers that question, because what this does is makes your runic power spending abilities have a chance to additionally deal 30% of the damage dealt over 4 seconds. Now this talent just goes right into Breath of Sindragosa, and you might think that this sounds like something that would benefit a lot like Frost Strike, which it actually ironically might do. But this also benefits Breath of Sindragosa, where each tick of the breath essentially does extra damage in the form of a dot. What this means is that it condenses the damage that Breath of Sindragosa does in a more smaller window, since that's usually what people want, so they don't feel like they have to play Breath for like a minute or a minute and a half, which is the main issue with Breath of Sindragosa and WoW.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Frost DK. There's still long lines to be crossed in terms of like how Frost DK plays. I don't know, man. Dragonflight was an interesting experiment. I feel it's way too brain dead. I think what they did with Unholy is much more interesting overall.
Oh, for sure.
I know there were a couple of not yet implemented talents, right? So this new talent, Hyperpyrexia,
Marcelian is gonna have a stroke. That's what the talent is.
It's all good. It's all good. You know, I love the fact that they sometimes just invent some weird ass like names.
You know, this
for
is an
talents.
actual one probably somewhere. We're gonna have to look it up. It's like, what does this mean?
Yeah, we have to like wiki that stuff. But regardless, we're looking at like the new implemented talents right now.
Yeah.
So for Frost, it's all fine and dandy, but Unholy,
The Unholy is actually getting the good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about, you know, off the record, you know, and in the office about Unholy. It's definitely not at the level of Mage reworks, for sure.
Not yet.
There's still a lot of glaring issues with the spec. However, like if you love playing Unholy DK and Dragonflight, you can bet your ass you're gonna love playing it in the War Within. Like even with the not so great changes. There are not many not so great changes, let's be fair, but they're not at the same level at Mage.
Well,
let's talk about it.
It all depends on how it plays out in the end, but to address maybe the only issue that still remained, or the main issue that still remained, was with the wounds, because it was just like a dead system. We now have Festering Scythe, a new talent. Every 20 Festering wounds you burst empowers Festering Strike to become Festering Scythe for 12 seconds. Festering Scythe sweeps through all enemies within 14 yards in front of you, dealing shadow damage and infecting them with 2 to 3 Festering wounds each.
Now, what do you think about that? It does sound amazing.
This sounds incredible, especially with bursting swords. And I'm not even talking about, what is it, Contagion?
Vile Contagion. Yeah, Vile Contagion will probably be a thing if this goes live like this. Because I don't think there was a scenario where you would play like the wounds build. It was still good, but it wouldn't really compete with Epidemic. This is pure AoE, right?
Yeah.
What is a little bit concerning here, I know they're like trying to push this whole start using more your Dead Strike and not Dead Strike, your Festering Strike, because to be really honest, like that button is almost it's not. You don't press it in AoE at least, right? So in dungeons, I don't think there's ever a reason you want to press it, except for like the boss fights. Okay, that's fair. But what is the most time you spend in a dungeon as an Unholy DK? On mobs, right? And you never press it. And I feel they want to incentivize the usage of this. And I think it's a pretty cool way to like have it work like this, because you know
the thing is here's the problem, right? You are right. You don't really want to press Festering Strike in AoE, but that's the thing is you activate this without having to actually press Festering Strike. You still have to burst wounds. You have to still burst 20 wounds to get this actual effect. I don't know if it's gonna stay at 20 wounds, but what it actually does is crazy, because sweeping, I don't know if they're gonna AoE cap. Let's assume
the visual for this shit, man.
Like, and if you've seen, even if you don't like Frost, like the scythe animations are crazy. But even if they cap it at 8 targets, that means at least 16 wounds are gonna be up with one cast of Festering Strike, and then you're probably going to be in Death and Decay, and you're probably gonna follow it up with a Scourge Strike popping everything.
Yeah. I think that's the intent. So listen, it's a cool way of transforming, Festering Strike into something like this, right? This is like, okay, this is how we incentivize you guys to use it a bit more. I think like the other part of like everything that works, you just exemplified. I think that will basically have you take Vile Contagion and play wounds.
And Bursting Swords for sure, I would imagine.
Yeah, it would be redonkulous.
Version 2 of the Unholy rework.
Yeah, which was already pretty great. All right, let's check out the other one, if you will,
Decomposition.
Mr. Flame. Decomposition for the French
exactly
speakers.
what you want to do as a Unholy DK. Virulent Plague has a chance to abruptly flare up, dealing 50 to 100% of damage, so this is a 2-pointer. Of the damage that it dealt to the target over the last 4 seconds and deal it instant. When this effect triggers, the duration of your active minions are increased by 1 second up to 3 seconds. It being a 2-pointer talent, I think the duration doesn't increase, but only the actual damage. This is interesting because obviously whenever I see this, I'm thinking of Army of the Dead and the ghouls.
That also, yeah, I really don't know what to think about this. So that you basically have like when it triggers, the duration of all of your little zombies are increased by up to say 2 seconds. It's interesting, but I don't feel that excited about it.
It's not. It happens passively.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't
interact with anything that you do. I mean, it's great to have the feeling of, okay, I want my diseases to do something, and this will make it do something, I suppose. Maybe this would, I don't know what the proc rate behind it is, or the chance to flare up. Does it increase if you run Ebon Fever, where they tick quicker, or they do damage in a shorter window? That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna like super theory craft it because we haven't tested anything. It's just like us talking out of our ass basically, but. It is like out of the two that were not yet implemented for Unholy, I feel it's like a really good direction, especially with the Festering Scythe that still has to be tested out and tuned and whatever. I think this other one, Decomposition, is just, it's okay to have, but it's not like mind-boggling. And I think I can speak for the both of us, we don't really like that much, when we're talking about new talents. If it's all passive, we don't really like it. We like much more interactivity, something that would be a lot more gameplay changing and stuff like that. So it's okay, not complaining.
It's good considering that everything that Unholy got, like getting these two talents, it's looking pretty good going forward into the new iterations. And once again, at least the Festering Scythe is addressing a major concern that a lot of people had with the fact that wounds are just boring and they're not really doing much.